going on, beautiful people? Especially my promoters, my fighters, my ring girls, you know, the ones that hold up the cars, right? I'm Kenneth Tiberius Clark. I want to welcome you guys to the Breakroom Breakdown Sports Podcast, where we create content for all sports fans, right? Even the casual ones, the people that don't watch sports at all. Yeah, we're looking out for you guys too. Right. So today we're actually going to keep the ball rolling from episode 5. Last time we brought you guys some tennis. So we're mixing things up sports wise. Today we'll talk some fighting with boxing savant Jacoby Barry. All right. And he's also the Phil N Statz co-host. And he's going to break things down for us. And we'll also talk just a little bit of football, right? Just a little bit. I'm sorry, guys, I just got to throw a little bit of football in there. So look at it, about 35 minutes total of content for today. That's on the agenda. Now, that being said, in a quick NFL update, Julio Jones has officially been traded to the Tennessee Titans. All right, for as we guessed it on the Breakroom Breakdown a few episodes ago. Let's see, a 2022 second round pick and a 2023 fourth round pick. Yeah, guys, I said like a 2 and a mid round pick. So I was close, right? Tennessee they've taken on his salary. So they freed up about $15 million of cap space for the Atlanta Falcons. So everybody say, yay, give them a round of applause. Atlanta can finally sign their damn draft picks. So that's good for them. But all jokes aside, I think this is a really good fit for Julio Jones. Of course, some of you guys know I wanted to see Julio go to Baltimore with Lamar Jackson. I think that would have been a beautiful fit. But Tennessee gives him something different. I think they give him the ability to fall into more of a support role. All right. He doesn't have to go to Tennessee. He doesn't have to be the head honcho and be the guy. Obviously, AJ Brown is a stud. All right. He's a man child. And he's still the alpha, whether we want to admit it or not. He's the alpha of the wide receiving core over there in Tennessee. But I think that Julio Jones, his deep speed, paired with AJ Brown's rugged physical style of play, I think it'll be a recipe for success. And once again, let's not even forget about Derrick Henry, right? King Henry. He's coming off of his 2,000-yard season. But at the end of the day, I think this trade will complement him as well, because we've all seen what happens to running backs after they rush for 2,000 yards. Like either they just battle with injuries, or or they slowly decline, all right, in the following years, or we get some that just completely fall off of a cliff. So I think Tennessee has, as any team would, I think that they want to start to combat this by slowly transitioning to more of a balanced run-pass offense. And obviously the big question mark is going to be Ryan Tannehill. I love him. All right. Obviously, he had some hiccups there in Miami, which was his first stop in the league. And since he's came to Tennessee, he's thrived, but as in more of a game manager role. So can Ryan Tannehill take advantage of Julio Jones' skill set? Can he handle an increased volume in the passing game? So that definitely still it remains to be seen. All right. Now, quick segue for my casual fans. I actually got some homework for you guys. I know last time I had somebody else, but you guys are going to get doubled up today. So I'm going to give you some homework. So I want you guys to look up the list of 2,000-yard rushers. It should be up to 8 now with the addition of Derrick Henry. And I want you guys to look at, the statistical drop off the year after. Go ahead, study that. And then you'll have a better understanding as to why Tennessee should approach this season with caution. All right. Now, right, not to take up, I got to throw my little football in there, but not to take too much time. I told you guys we were going to talk some boxing today. All right. I actually have Jacoby Barry in the waiting room. Let me see if I can get this guy in here. What's up, Kobe? Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, my brother.
All right. How you doing today?
Man, blessed, man. How are you doing?
Oh, man, I'm blessed. Look, I'm blessed to have you on.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Hey, just to give you guys a quick background of me and this guy's relationship, we go back to high school football days.
Yeah.
We were both these rambunctious, undersized defensive linemen. So yeah. I guess it only made sense that we both ended up talking sports media, right?
Hey, 100%, right?
Right, 100%. But
hilarious.
but obviously, Kobe, we brought you here to talk violence, so to speak, right?
Boxing, not violence, but boxing.
Look, but boxing, right? Look, the violent sport. But talk to us about the current events in the boxing world. Like, what are some upcoming fights that you're looking forward to?
Man, we got a summer full of fights, bro. We got of course August 21st. We got Spence and Pac-Man. Actually, last weekend we had Devin Haney fight. Next weekend or this weekend on the 19th, we got Teofimo Lopez fighting. We got Lomachenko fighting next weekend. July 24th, we got the big showdown: Tyson Fury, Wilder. I'm not sure if they're going to postpone that, but as of right now, it's still July 24th. You got Spence, Pac-Man, August 21st. That's going to be a big one. And I know the one that you've been waiting on. You got Jake Paul and Woodley. August 28th. Because me and you, we talked about that.
We
thinking that they can come into a boxing ring. You were about to see exactly if a former UFC champion can defeat an amateur boxer. We're gonna see that August 28th.
Most definitely. So you mentioned Fury Wilder 3, which maybe we've talked about. I know we talked about here on the Breakroom Breakdown. What are your projections? What are your thoughts about that matchup? And what are your projections?
That's probably gonna be the fight of the summer. Even though I like the Spence and the Pac-Man, the heavyweight divisions it attracts a casual fan. So it's always gonna have that advantage. I mean, a lot of you have the speculations on Tyson Fury and cheating and all that stuff. I don't like really bring it up because I'm not fully in to talk about that. I still think Tyson Fury should win. Of course, Deontay Wilder. I mean, he can knock you out. If there's anybody who does have a puncher's chance, it's going to be Deontay Wilder. I think it's going to be a great fight. I think it's going to be a showdown. I'm looking at that to be the biggest sporting event outside the Super Bowl.
Wow. 2020. Okay.
It's always a boxing match. That's the second biggest sporting event of the year. It's going to be that Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. So I'll give it to that.
You give it that. Do you think Deontay Wilder? Like I know some people have talked about like maybe he didn't have he's more of a brawler than an actual boxer. Do you think maybe he's worked on his game enough that he might have a shot to make this more competitive than the last matchup?
I think he can make it more competitive. The thing is, old habits are hard to break. I mean, Deontay Wilder was an athlete who decided to start boxing at 21. Tyson Fury grew up in boxing.
Okay.
So it's gonna be hard for him to outbox Tyson Fury. But if he can get that right hand moving, man, and if he can land that right hand, I think he can win. I think the first time, even though it was a draw, me personally, I don't see how he knocked him down twice and still got the draw. I didn't think Tyson Fury had that much of a lead before those two knockouts. But I think it was great for boxing because we got that second one, and then of course we're gonna get this third one. So I mean, that one's gonna be a good one. The second one that I really like is gonna be the Errol Spence and the Pac-Man. Just because I think that one's gonna put Errol Spence over the top. If you've been looking at boxing for like the last 4 or 5 years, the top 3 guys have been Deontay Wilder, Canelo Alvarez, and Errol Spence. Errol Spence doesn't get the credit that he deserves, and the reason why is, and friends that I talk to who are into boxing, they kind of put this in my ear, and I kind of do see what they're talking about. A lot of times when you're the black man, you have to play that villain to be that A side, that household name. You look at Floyd Mayweather when he was
a villain.
When he was Pretty Boy Floyd and everyone loved him, he was still a B-side fighter. When 2008 happened and the recession happened and everybody's mortgage went upside down and he started calling himself Money Mayweather, he became a villain. And then look at he eventually went on to have $100 million fights. I mean, he just came off a $100 million exhibition. So that's going to be a big fight for Errol Spence because Pacquiao's a big name. And if he wins that fight, which I'm pretty sure he will, that's going to put him in that stratosphere where he's going to be he's already an A-side fighter, but he's going to be an A-side fighter with potential to make way more money than he's making now. So that's going to be a big fight for him. So we got some big fights this summer, bro.
So do you think, and I grew up watching just a little bit. My mom was a big Manny Pacquiao fan. Do you think Manny Pacquiao, I mean, obviously Errol Spence is the guy right now. Do you think Manny Pacquiao will make it a very competitive fight?
It's gonna be an interesting fight. I think that Errol Spence is gonna win. I don't think he's gonna win every round like he did Danny Garcia. I don't think he's gonna do that. I think that he's gonna win. He'll probably win unanimously, and then or it could be split decision. The thing about it, Errol Spence is gonna have the cards in his favor. He's the younger fighter. The future of boxing is on his shoulder. Pacquiao, we don't see Pacquiao fighting down the road. So if you're looking at just the money side of boxing, which we always, that's what boxing is, Errol Spence should win. He has the cards in his favor. So I'm gonna give it to Errol Spence.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So, all right. You earlier you definitely mentioned another fight. You mentioned you said we obviously talked about the Jake Paul, Tyrone Woodley. But let's just shed a little bit of focus on the Paul brothers. They've apparently taken the pro fighting world by storm, right? They're calling everybody out. What has been their impact on boxing?
The impact on boxing overall, I mean, it's pretty new. So I'm not gonna say it's a long lasting impact, but I like what they're doing, bro. It's a new era. If it makes dollars, it makes sense. And to me, I like to compare them to this. I like to say that what the Kardashians did to reality TV, showing how to monetize off of being on reality TV. Because so many years we saw people on reality TV. We saw Flavor of Love. We saw Real World. Those people didn't know how to turn what they did into $100 million makeup company or to a swimsuit line or whatever the case that may be. You look at the Paul brothers, bro. They just been on YouTube, and you're starting this. You're starting on this industry with YouTube. It's a lot of work, bro. It's not what people think it is, where you're just uploading videos and you just collect checks. A lot of work. Right. And really, what they're doing is they're just figuring out a way to monetize their YouTube audience. They're just figuring out, hey, instead of you watching us on YouTube for free, and we may collect ad dollars, ad revenue. We're gonna box, and you guys are gonna pay $50 to $70 to watch us box because they have the fan base, and it makes perfect sense. You look at Floyd Mayweather; that was the easiest fight he's ever been in. He got $100 million off of it. I mean, I'm thinking 70 million so far, but eventually it's probably 100 million. This fight ever. It's so much easier to do that than to find someone who actually is into boxing, has boxed their whole life, have fights under their belt, and then you have them to a point where they can sell their own fight. When you can just get this guy for YouTube and tell him to come in the ring, and you're gonna make $100 million off of it.
So, okay. So one, I'm gonna let you know this. What you said about the Paul and the Kardashians, I had to write that down. I was like, man, okay, that's big. Yeah. But you're talking about, wow, like the money side of boxing. Isn't what they're doing, if fighters adopt maybe some of the marketing things that they're doing, doesn't that kind of box out the promoters and pay-per-view and the entities?
And that's what it's doing. I think that what they're doing, a lot of people think they're challenging the boxers. No, they're challenging the promoters. Really, the Paul brothers aren't really getting in the way of boxers, because think about it. If Canelo Alvarez wanted to say, I'm gonna fight one of them and get $100 million myself, there's nothing stopping him from doing it. Who doesn't want that to happen is Bob Arum. Who doesn't want that to happen is Golden Boy, because it's like, well, we need to get a check out of that. But then when you look at, if you're Canelo, you're saying, what are you doing? These guys are already bringing the audience. Well, why would I need you? What are you promoting at that point?
So do you feel like in a small way they've opened up Pandora's box just a little, maybe?
A little bit, but I think that's just the way we're going in technology. Just with music, you can stream it. You don't really, you gotta have, boxing is now figuring out its way to have its direct to consumer moment. That makes any sense?
No, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. They're just having their direct to consumer moment. I think what the Paul brothers are doing is great. I just feel like we just have to figure out how to make it happen. Like on the Mayweather exhibition, there was 2 real boxing matches that happened between Ocho Cinco. Shout out to Ocho Cinco. He did a good job. Between the Ocho Cinco and the Logan Paul Mayweather fight, there were actually 2 boxing matches that were regulated boxing matches. So they just have to figure out how to make it happen. I like that it happened on a Sunday. I didn't pay full pay-per-view dollar for it. I paid $50 instead of the $80 or the $100. It wasn't on a Saturday. It was on a relaxed Sunday. And I like that. If they can do that way, I like that. They can save the big time fights, the Errol Spence, the Pacquiao, the Canelo. They can save those on Saturdays when there's a celebrity type of fight that we want to see on a Sunday. I'm cool with that.
Wow. Okay. So it's almost like they're getting their own time slot. They're not.
I don't think that they're competing with the boxers. Like I said, they're just putting more pressure on the promoters. The promoters have to do their work. And a lot of people complained about promoters not giving us the fights that we want to see an example, Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. Well, whenever you see these YouTubers out here putting up those type of numbers, as a promoter, you got to go to your secret weapon. You may say, all right, we got to make this fight happen at this point.
Yeah.
I can't sit here and let the Paul brothers outsell me. I mean, there's 2 pay-per-views. I know the Mayweather Logan was a million buys, and I think that the Ben Askren and the Jake Paul was like 650. Like that's a lot of pay-per-view buys for people that they're not boxers. So it just puts pressure on these promoters, as you got to make sure you put up those numbers, because I mean, let's be honest, those guys sell more fights than a Devin Haney. Those guys sell more fights than a Ryan Garcia. They may not sell more fights than Earl Spence, a Canelo, a Wilder, a Tank, because everybody loves Tank fights because they're more likely going to end in a knockout. But a lot of boxers, those guys are putting in their work, and they're going to make that money. So.
Okay, so really quick, obviously we talked about the Jake Paul, Tyron Woodley. What are your projections for that? You as a boxing guy, what are your ultimate projections?
I got Jake Paul winning. I don't know if he's gonna knock him out, but I got Jake Paul winning. It's boxing. I mean, I know Tyron Woodley's a UFC fighter, but we talking about boxing, and Jake Paul is the better out of the 2. I don't think Logan is the better. I think Jake Paul is actually the better, because Logan Paul is more popular on YouTube.
Yeah.
From my understanding, I don't know, but
he I know he was originally.
He was the most popular on YouTube. Jake Paul went more into the boxing realm, made money. Logan went to the boxing realm too in like 2016. Jake Paul recently did it, but my understanding, Jake Paul is more talented when it comes out of the boxing out of those 2. So, I think Jake Paul should win that unanimous decision. But it's exhibition, so I don't know if they may not even do decisions. They may just, if nobody gets knocked out, then
just go the
right, yeah. So
wow, but it's to you, it's that big of a difference between a UFC and boxing, as far as like.
Yeah, I watched the Zab Judah interview, and he was talking about if you made a boxer take off his shoes and get in a UFC ring, it would be slaughter. Like, these are 2 different sports at the end of the day.
Right.
A boxer can't hold his weight into a UFC octagon. A UFC fighter can't hold his weight into that in the ropes with a boxer. It's 2 different sports, 2 different skill sets. So
is that why, not to cut you off, is that why what Clarissa Shields just did, is that why it's so big?
Yeah, man, shout out to her. And I like what she's doing. I mean, I love boxing, but UFC has done a good job of making their female fighter superstars. Ronda Rousey, Holmes. I forgot the one that's big right now.
Amanda Nunes.
They've done a good job at that. So me personally, if I'm in the female spectrum, I'm going to UFC over boxing. That's just how it is.
Because they put more, obviously they give them the spotlight to shine a lot more.
Yeah, I really don't think women's boxing was ever really a big deal. I think it was a big deal because Layla Ali, and that was because
Layla Ali.
I don't really think it was because I don't think people remember Layla Ali fight. I just think that it was Ali's daughter fighting.
So she was her name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think people were that big into women's boxing.
Okay. So this is another question, and I know this is going to be a very sensitive topic for you. So we know that we've often heard, and you've heard this before, that boxing fell off, right? Obviously he said, obviously the UFC was the talk of the town for like a decade, right? Your boxing. You said what?
There's still the talk.
There's still the talk. Yeah, but I mean, obviously, I feel like boxing's is starting to get more popular again. But as a boxing savant, like, I know you probably feel different. Is that a true statement? Did boxing ever fall off? If not, where do you think that narrative came from?
Well, I know where the narrative came from. I mean, technically, you can say it did. I mean, it just depends on how you view it. The narrative came from the heavyweight division falling off. The casual fan likes heavyweights. The casual fans like the casual boxing fan. It goes back to, like, if you look at the blueprint of like wrestling, right? Wrestling's gonna have the blueprint. They want people in the ring that's bigger than everyone in the audience, right? They want knockouts, right? The casual fan likes a knockout more than a technical fight, right? If you're a heavyweight fights are more prone to have knockouts. Then we really don't like seeing heavyweight fights go the distance. I mean, they get tired at the end, all that good stuff. So when you look at the heavyweight division falling off, Mike Tyson started to lose. I know HBO wanted to give him $100 million contract, and I think he lost. I forgot the name, the guy name he lost to. It was a white guy he lost to back in like 2003, 2004. HBO scrapped that deal. It was like, that's probably not going to work. Probably not going to get our return on that. And then, of course, after that, it became to where the big names in boxing were the smaller guys. It was the Floyd Mayweather. It was the Bernard Hopkins, the Oscar De La Hoya, Julio Sr., Chavez Sr. And ultimately, those are real technical fighters. Like those lightweight guys, those are real, flashy, but you may get knockouts, you may not get knocked out, but you gotta really enjoy a good 12 rounds of boxing. That's why I like to call it 12 rounds of boxing. The casual fan doesn't really like 12 rounds of boxing. The casual fan
they want quick.
Yeah, this is a 12-round fight. We want to see a knockout in the 6th or 7th, and that's great. Tyson in the late 80s and early 90s. That's what we kind of grew up watching with Tyson. Yeah. So that's what the casual boxing fan, man, they love that. And just in general, when you look at the heavyweight division, it's gonna be hard for the heavyweight division to make a comeback because it just doesn't make sense, bro. Like if think about it, if you're a heavyweight, right, you have to weigh over 200 pounds. Right. I mean, if you weigh over 200 pounds for you to be able to do 12 rounds of boxing, you're probably like 6 foot or higher, right? I think Deontay Wilder's like 6'5", 6'7", or something like that, right?
Yeah, he's 6'7", I think.
Yeah. And if you think about it, you're 6'7", you're 200 and some pounds. Why would I box when the NBA and NFL, they're handing out $100 million, $200 million contracts?
It's not as lucrative.
If I'm coming up, right?
Right.
Now, if you look at boxing as far as the weight classes that I like, lightweight, middleweight, welterweight, of course, featherweight, they go up to the lightweight. But when you look at the heavyweight class, the boxing classes that you enjoy nowadays, look at Floyd Mayweather, look at those guys. Those guys normally range between 5'5", 5'8", 5'9". They fight in anywhere between 135 to 160, right? What sport can you play being 5'7", 147 and make a lot of money?
Boxing, gymnastics.
You're not gonna make that much money. You're not gonna make the money that you would in boxing. So if you are that size, it's best you get in boxing because you're probably not gonna be a good basketball player, and you're probably not gonna be a good football player. So when you just look at the mathematics, it makes sense for those smaller divisions to run things. Like, to me, the lightweight division is the best division in boxing. I know the welterweight has been popular for like the past 10, 15 years, but look at the lightweight division. You got Tank, you got Ryan Garcia, you got Timothy Lopez, you got Devin Haney, you got Lomachenko, who's on his way out, but you just have a lot of fighters in that weight class, right? It just doesn't make any sense for me to be 200 some pounds, 6'5", and me to sit up here and try to be a boxer my whole life. When you grew up in Texas, you got Texas high school football, and you have a system where that can put you in the NFL. You got NBA where you can go to play for these play high school, play AEW, and get you in the NBA where you get these massive contracts. It just doesn't make any sense. I don't think the heavyweight division will ever really make a true comeback.
So you believe, and this is something I've probably never heard. You believe that they've lost the sport has lost a lot of its athletes to other sports, and in a way, like heavyweight wise, like guys are going and playing different. They might play different sports because they're more lucrative, maybe.
Yeah, I wouldn't word it like that, but I just don't think that it makes sense for me. If I'm raising my child, it doesn't make sense for me to sit there and make them box when they can play basketball or football. Especially when you look at those heavyweight guys. Look at them now. When they talk, a lot of them can't even talk fluid. Like, when you're taking heavyweight shots you got to start boxing at such a young age, and you've been taking headshots for that long. You just look at those guys. Like, that's why I commend Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather's retired, and he can speak
healthy.
He's healthy. He's into real estate. He's doing what he needs to do. I like this new era of boxers. So,
wow. Okay. So you do believe right now the lightweight, that's the premier weight class in boxing right now.
It'll be the welterweight just because
welterweight
has Spence, Bud, Pacquiao, Floyd just came out of that weight class. Floyd just retired from that weight class. So the premier weight class will still be welterweight, and a lot of those lightweight guys I just named, they're going to move up to welterweight. So it'll still be welterweight. But I'm just saying, as of right now, that lightweight division is awesome.
Okay. So let me ask you this. You said something earlier. We were talking about promoting And this is something. This is just a theory of mine. I don't know if this plays a factor in maybe boxing kind of falling and UFC rising. Do you think with promoters not giving fans the fights they want to see, do you think that hurt ratings a lot? Whereas, no.
Nah, I can't, because you look at what they're doing. They just did a million. They just did a million pay-per-view buys. You look at what Canelo did at the AT&T Stadium. I mean, it's not during the pandemic. Pretty much at the end of the pandemic, he saw that bad boy out, and he had, I think, what 700 with him and Billy Saunders, 600 to 700 600 to 700,000 pay-per-view buys. You look at this Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury is going to exceed 1 million. Errol Spence and Pacquiao, that's probably going to reach about 1 million. So a prize fight in boxing is always going to be like boxing can be dead, but once a prize fight is announced, the casual consumer is going to come out, because it's a Saturday. Boxing is a grown man sport, just like UFC is. If you have a UFC fight on a Saturday, if you go to any bars, they're playing that fight. You know what I mean?
Right.
So the prize fight in boxing, like I said, is always going to be the second. It's always going to be one boxing match. That's the second biggest sporting event outside the Super Bowl in any given year.
Any given year. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, that look, that definitely kind of eats away at the narrative that boxing died off. Right. It was always there.
Nah. I think boxing is a grown man sport. It's not a sport where you talk about on a daily. You don't watch ESPN. You see boxing highlights all throughout the show, like baseball, basketball, or football. It's a sport where you got a fight on Saturday. You might invite some friends over. You have a good fight party. You have some beers, some beers in rotation, and you're just enjoying yourself. It's a grown man sport. I don't think it died off at all.
So it's always had more of a cult following.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
100%. You're right on that. I like that.
Okay. So who is the future of boxing? If you were to name, let's say if you were to pick 4 fighters that you feel like they're going to carry the sport forward, they're going to headline boxing for the next 5 to 10 years, who would you name?
Since you said 5 to 10, Canelo still be in that. Canelo, Errol Spence, I think Tank, and I think Teofimo Lopez. I'm going to put those 4. The reason why I won't put Bud is because I think Bud's going to lose to Errol Spence eventually. I feel
whenever it happens, right?
No, I think it'll happen probably before 2023, but it'll happen.
Look, no Ryan Garcia, not yet.
Not yet, because I feel like I got to see Ryan Garcia. I gotta see more of his fights, and I got to see him, prove himself. Same thing with Devin Haney. I got to see some more of his fights. I got to see him go through some more adversity. But those are great guys. There's a lot of great boxers. So when you got narrowed down to 4, I'm gonna just go with the guys that kind of already, proving themselves. Errol Spence, Canelo, Tank. Everybody loves Tank. And then of course, I think Teofimo Lopez, he may be the best in that lightweight division. Him and Tank. So.
And is the heavyweight division? Who do you see? I know you say you don't see it ever coming back. Are we just kind of playing with those names, the Deontay Wilders, the Tyson Furies, and the Anthony Joshuas, or is there anybody else we should look out for in that division?
Nah, it's just those 3, bro.
Literally,
for real with you, like,
yeah.
Deontay Wilder runs it because he's a American heavyweight. Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, they are UK heavyweights, and of course American heavyweights. They always run the table. They always decide on what we fight and when we fight and all that good stuff. I'm gonna say, Deontay Wilder, as far as the heavyweight division. That's why I think it's big on what happens with that fight, because of course Anthony Joshua is gonna fight whoever wins that fight. If Wilder wins, we might have to get a Wilder Tyson Fury 4, which at that point makes it one of the best rivalry in sports. If Wilder upsets Tyson Fury July 24th, forcing a fourth heavyweight fight between those guys.
Big money.
Big money, but that's gonna be one of the best. That's gonna be one of the best rivalries in sports. We all gonna talk about the first fight, the second fight where we thought Tyson Fury cheated, the third fight where we saw Wilder come up with adversity, and however the fourth fight lands, that's just how it lands. But at that point, it's gonna be one of the biggest rivalries in sports.
Okay, makes sense. So you feel like Wilder winning would be good, would be really good for boxing.
It would definitely be good for boxing. It'll be great for the heavyweight division as well. So,
okay. So I also want to ask you the question, just to break it down for our casual fans: what dictates the bigger draw Like it's not always the guy that is it the guy that's more his face is more in the media. Like how does that work as far as like who draws the bigger audience? Like what dictates that?
I mean, nowadays, I mean, you look at the Paul brothers, you want to try to put yourself out there outside of just boxing. I think that's what Ryan Garcia has done a great job at. He's done a great job of, just a little simple stuff with him doing the little body shots to the different football players. And them, I think he did to like Juju Smith-Schuster. Tank does a good job. I mean, this stuff, call it what you want. It's selling a fight. Tank and his in and out of the hip hop world, him dating the same women that hip hop artists date, him going to the clubs that same hip hop artists go to, him being in the same circle as a lot of popular hip hop artists, him being mentioned with a lot of hip hop artists, that helps him out in the long run. You look at guys like Earl Spence and Canelo that mostly they just use that, they let their hands talk for them. They just have big reputations as being good boxers or great boxers, not good boxers, but great boxers. Of course, you got Deontay Wilder, where he was the knockout guy. It was, in 2010, 11, 12, wherever, when he first started fighting, it was, this guy has a good knockout power. And then eventually people just started buying his fights to see him knock out. And then, of course, he just became this household name. So it's just different ways to do it. I like the route of letting your hands talk for yourself, but also having something going on outside the sport. I mean, Floyd Mayweather kind of was like good at that too. Floyd Mayweather's a part of the hip hop community too. So it was more than just a bit popular. Yeah, we know about Floyd outside of the boxing ring. We know about even when he's not in the middle of a fight, he's gonna show us Instagram with like 30 cars or something like that, right? All the same stuff like that. So to me, I think the casual fan, just them knowing you, so putting yourself out there works for selling fights. But you got to be able to back it up when it's time to get in that ring. So that's how I look at it.
So self-promotion is more important now than ever, right?
Because I mean, you don't have the era where you have like the Don Kings talking for you, the Bob Arums talking for you. It's, I think now it's a direct to consumer where it's just like, it's not necessarily say sell your own fights, but sell yourself. Sell yourself. Make sure that you do what you need to do to make sure you have people show up and make sure you get the victory. The check just goes higher and higher after that point. So,
okay. Well, this is I'm over here. He teaching me some stuff about the money. I knew some, the names and the fighters, but I didn't know about the money side. So you teaching me some things.
Yeah, man. That's what it's about. That's why I like, the boxing doesn't really have like a set league like MMA, UFC. I like that. I like that the fighters can be in the control of it. I'm sorry. I like the way the fighters can be in more control, and they just gotta take advantage of it, bro.
Most definitely. So now I will say this a few weeks ago, we had Evan on and he had told us about some things that you guys are doing on Phil N Statz. Obviously, you guys are looking to kind of take over the whole Southeast Texas high school and all those things. But outside of the podcast, which is great, how can the fans connect with Jacoby Barry?
Oh, no, just on Twitter. I like talking sports during the games on Twitter. The Kobe, CHA, COBY. You can hit me up on Twitter. It's the same on Instagram. I do stream sports as well as far as on the PlayStation. So if you want to hit me up on PlayStation, it's the same. TA-COBY. But yeah, that's really the way you can get in touch with me. I appreciate you for having me on your show, man. We got to talk some good boxing today, man. That was great.
Most definitely. As a matter of fact, before you go, I need you to give. I like to give the fans some homework. All right. So the most underrated boxer of all time.
Oh man!
In your opinion, who do you feel like is underrated in boxing? Who do you feel a fighter you feel like doesn't get his flowers?
Does not get his flowers?
Yeah.
Floyd Mayweather.
Really?
I don't think. What? I told Floyd Mayweather. Yeah, I told Evan, I was like, Floyd Mayweather's the greatest, and he just didn't believe it because he's like, I don't see how someone who's a welterweight can be the greatest boxer of all time. I'm like, man, if you just look at boxing, bro, he never gets touched. He's in always control of his fights. He's 51-0 or 50-0, and he's never been put down. He's never touched the mat. Of course, he touched the mat against the Zab Judah fight, but they didn't count that officiating or refereeing, whatever that may be. But if you just look at it, he just doesn't. I think because the casual fan finds his fights boring. And then the cult boxing fan, we find it entertaining to see such a savant boxer do his thing. I think that I'm gonna go with Floyd because I feel like people don't really look at his achievements the way they do. I think that they look at him as being greedy and him as, man, I tell people about this with the exhibition that he just did. Floyd is not the first boxer to do an exhibition. I mean, we just seen
other guys
do it, right? He's not the first boxer to do an exhibition. All the time we see boxers do exhibitions, they're punch drunk, they're doing it because they need money. My man is healthy. my man is healthy, living life. He's even telling he's telling everybody if it's an easy bank robbery, I'm gonna sign me up. he's telling everybody like, if it's an easy bank robbery, sign me up. But then you have people complaining saying, man, I need my money back. I can't believe I paid for this fight. It's like, my man, he just told you it was a robbery. You just got robbed. Like, you know what I mean? So I like seeing a black man take advantage of not necessarily just the system, but just take advantage of the system and making his coins even after he's retired. Like we've never seen that before. But no, I think that's my answer when I say he's most underrated because I think everybody in boxing gets their flowers. To be honest with you, man, I think that I like Sugar Ray Leonard a lot. That was my favorite boxer before Floyd Mayweather. But I think he gets his flowers. I think Whitaker. I think Peanut. He gets his flowers. Mike Tyson. He gets his flowers. Evander Holyfield gets his. I think a lot of these guys get their flowers. I think Floyd's the only one that we really try to look at and we say, man, but he ain't knocking nobody out, But if you like boxing a lot, man, those Floyd fights are great, man. Watch Floyd and Miguel Cotto. It's one of my favorite fights.
Okay. Well, so you guys, he gave you some homework. So I guess we got to look. I didn't think he was gonna say Floyd, but I guess we're gonna have to definitely do a deeper dive and look into some of his achievements and look and ask ourselves, is he really the greatest boxer? He might just be. Mm-hmm. So, but outside of that, Kobe, it's always a pleasure, a blessing having you on, man. Talking some boxing, talking some fighting with you, man. We'll definitely have to link up soon. I'm definitely gonna have to hear your take or your analysis of this Fury Wilder 3 happening. Was it July 24th?
Yeah, man, July 24th, man. That's gonna be as long as we don't push that back, man, it's gonna be a good summer, man. That's gonna be a good one. That's gonna be a good one.
Well, most definitely. But fans, tap in. Obviously, he told you social media handles, but tap into the Phil N Statz podcast. All right, him and my boy Evan, they're doing big things out there in Texas right now, but the entire South, they're doing great things covering all sports. So tap in with them. Outside of that, Kobe, hey man, have a blessed day, and we'll link up soon.
All right, man. Y'all have a good one out there, man. Y'all stay blessed. And stay with this summer heat, bro. It's hot out here in Texas.
2 days, right?
Never days. I ain't doing days.
Never days. Those days are over, right?
I don't know how we did that, bro. Like that was so. We not to carry on, but you imagine like we used to do 2 days and like eat McDonald's before practice. Like, what were we thinking?
I don't know. When you're a teenager, nothing scientific, physical, it doesn't make sense. You can just do it. Bro. Yeah. But as you guys see, me and this guy, we got a shared history, so we can go back. We could be on here for hours, and the stream will never end. But yeah. But all right, brother, have a great one, and we will definitely talk soon.
All right, man. Yeah.
All right. Well, there you guys have it. My good friend and Houston Beaumont podcaster Jacoby Barry. He just came on and he just kind of broke down boxing for us and broke down some upcoming fights. He talked about the Paul brothers' impact on boxing, which I loved his breakdown of that. I never really looked at how they're really kind of cornering the market or how they're kind of boxing out promoters and they're outselling pay-per-view on YouTube and things of that nature. I just never looked at it from that aspect. So that was definitely interesting to hear. Let's see. He talked about obviously the perceived notion that boxing has died. I guess maybe we can get so caught up in other sports. We don't know that there's always a major boxing event. once or twice a year. You know, the year just flies by, but we focus on, the NBA finals and the Super Bowl, all right, or the World Series, right? Those are the things that we focus on. So yeah, boxing never died. And we also both gave you guys some assignments. I gave you guys 2,000-yard rushers, right? So that list. So you guys looked that up, all right? And then he gave you underrated boxer. He also probably gave you some names, guys that are going to carry the sport forward. You can look at that as well. But he said Floyd Mayweather is an underrated boxer. I guess we got to take a second look at his career just to have a full understanding of what Kobe was talking about. So yeah, you guys got homework. Hey, I want a 1-page paper sent to my email, kenneth.clark519@gmail.com. Yeah, I was playing, all jokes aside. But if you, hey, like as always, if you guys enjoyed it, hey, please subscribe. Please subscribe. Let's see, we on all major platforms: Apple, Google, Spotify. And if you guys want to live chat with me and the Rooted in Sports clan, or join the Rooted in Sports clan, look us up on Clubhouse as you guessed it, Rooted in Sports, right? Or hey, also encourage you guys to just share it with your friends that don't watch sports at all. I told you we're doing this for the casual fans, but go ahead, tap in with your friends, invite them so they can join us as well. But outside of that, it's been a blast. And hey, you guys, welcome aboard, and I'll see you next time.